Alright everyone, time for another beer video, and I'm going to be drinking this Red's chili beer, Red's Gruszka. It's heavily out of date. This is why I'm drinking it now. I've been putting it off. It's 19th of February 2016, so fucking hell, what's that, like 9 months out of date? I don't know what all this shit on the bottom of the can is. This is another thing that's left over from my stag do. My fridge is full of different beers and ciders that came, like people brought them around from my stag do, and there was so much that we all got massively hammered and ended up going out on the town anyway. So there wasn't a whole lot of drinking of the beer. Well, there was a lot of drinking beer, but there was still a ton left over, and I'm working my way through, and I thought I would get on with drinking the out of date one. So yeah, it's chili and pear, I guess. It's I don't know, it's got no 4.5% alcohol. It's got no English on it. It's got all this foreign, but I'm guessing chili and pear. It says chili, paprika and chili. I think that's pear and chili. Original premium quality, that's in English. Yeah, so it's a beer, it's chili and pear. I've had mixed results with beers with fruit flavours, like apple beers especially. I've had a couple that were nice. Mostly they kind of taste a bit disgusting to me. The ice apple one I had in France was almost okay, but it kind of wasn't quite good enough. There was one I had that I picked up in Edinburgh, and I can't remember the name of it. I'm sure it's on one of my beer reviews, which was nice. That was a delicious beer, apple beer drink. Trying to smell if it's off or not, but I don't think it is. It's not so out of date that it will be bad, I'm sure. It's really chilled. It's been in the fridge, so I'm going to pour this out. I thought I would talk about the election, because I think the American election is happening right now, and it's just crazy. I'm sure I've talked about it on a previous video, but nothing been happening in my life exciting, so I'll talk about the election, I guess. Nice and fizzy, cider like fizz there, champagne bowls almost. And like that, the head is gone. But because it's out of date, I never know whether I'm giving like a good review of this, or whether, you know, whether my review is accurate of an in-date product. It smells nice. You know, it smells just like pear cider. It smells really sweet like pear cider. But apparently it's a beer. That's quite nice. That it doesn't taste like a beer really. Yeah, I'm saying it doesn't taste like a beer, but it doesn't quite taste like a cider. It's almost like one of them malt drinks, you know, the super malt or whatever you get in a can, where it's like really sweet. It doesn't taste like a beer, but it tastes kind of malty. It's kind of like that, but I don't know. It's got like a pear taste, but it's not. What it tastes like is it's almost getting towards like a Copperberg pear, like a really sweet, that kind of really sweet pear cider taste, but it doesn't quite get there. It kind of just turns a little bit more sour as you're drinking it. If you sort of expect it to go really sweet as you're drinking, but and then there's a sudden like twist in the taste, and it's like almost turns like how you with a Strongbow type of cider. You get like that sour, bitter taste. But So it's kind of almost halfway between the two sort of types of cider that I'm talking about, like the bittersweet cider, like your strongbow types, and your sweet Swedish cider, and it doesn't really taste like a beer in that way. Yeah, I don't know. Can't really put my finger on the taste. It's quite a unique taste. It does have that kind of malty taste as well, which is the only sort of indication that you're drinking a beer, really. The chili kick is not like, it doesn't burn or anything. It's just like a slightly warm aftertaste. I think it adds more to the flavour rather than the actual heat, if you know what I mean. Like the taste of the chili comes through, and it's quite nice. This actually, yeah, I think it's pretty good. Oh. Okay, cool. So yeah, America's fucked, isn't it? Like, what the hell's gonna happen? I don't know who. I think Hillary's gonna win. Really, I think there's so many people that are just bought into this whole Hillary's amazing thing that they're not. There's so many like celebrities endorsing Hillary. I just don't understand why. She's just seems to be a horrible person. I don't know. It's and anytime I say something bad about Hillary, I feel like I've immediately got to say, oh well, I don't like Trump either, because I think they're both really just terrible candidates for America. And the fact that one of them's going to be in charge of the country by tomorrow, scary thought, I think. I don't know who I'd vote for, really. I watch a lot of videos about, the election and stuff. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, but it's kind of like whoever the person making the video wants to win, they'll completely ignore the faults of the person that they want to win, or the person they'd like the least. They'll just make all these videos about how much they dislike the person and completely ignore the faults of the other person. Now, I've seen both sides of the argument, but there's so much wrong with each person. For a start, I would never vote for Trump because of his basically his policy, how he talks about waterboarding, and how he thinks it's fine, and he would do it, and he would use stronger tactics. Basically, I think the whole like torture program, the extreme rendition or whatever they called it, whatever nice label they give it, I think that is just a blight, a real blot on politics, and kind of reason I'd never vote Labour again, because of their involvement in that. And just think it's just one of the most disgusting acts ever committed by Western government. Like, I've got no problem with the idea of a terrorist being tortured. Fine, fuck them, I've got no sympathy for terrorists, but it's just the fact that those kind of acts were carried out by our own government that kind of makes me more afraid for my own freedom than the terrorist acts, if you know what I mean. So anyone who would endorse that kind of thing is automatically out, just like, no, I can't. He also thinks that vaccines cause autism. What an idiot. Hillary just seems like a psychopath. I've always thought she was for years. I think I said this before when I heard her talking about. I saw a video where she talks about like alternative news sources and how they need to fight a war against them because these news sources are saying bad things about the government and they need to fight back. And she seemed very like. And this was years ago. I mean, she's saying it now again about like right-wing news sources like Breitbart and stuff, how they're gonna shut them down and stuff. Any politician sort of advocating censorship of the media in that way, especially anything because it would be criticising them, seems like the act of an absolute sort of dictator in my way. I don't really want to use the old comparing them to Hitler thing, because that's kind of like, was it Godwin's law? It's kind of like a stupid conclusion to make, because they're not Hitler, but it seems like quite a extreme act to kind of want to shut down any new sources that say bad things about you as a politician. Plus all the fucking email shit and the corruption and the her involvement with the whole Gaddafi thing, which came through in the emails. You want to see a good documentary? Go on BBC iPlayer and look up. There's a documentary on there called Hyper Normalization. It's like 3 hours long or something, but it's really good, and it talks about how like corrupt the government is, how it's like been bought out by the banks and big business, and it goes into detail about Gaddafi and how they America basically created him as this like cartoon dictator to make the world afraid of, to kind of distract from other things that were actually going on in the world, which are actually like more important. And if you look at the emails, Hillary was centre of all that. And this documentary goes on about how the media will basically just, it'll sort of change our perception of what's going on. And the documentary itself strangely never mentions Hillary the whole way through. It goes on about Trump and how bad he is. Never mentions Hillary once, even when it's talking about Gaddafi and all this shit going down. So even in the documentary talking about how the media has its biases and creates biases, it has its own bias, and but it's still a good documentary. I'd go and watch it. So I don't know. I think they're both terrible people. Basically, I think Hillary Clinton has actual blood on her hands. I think she's responsible for deaths of thousands of people through her acts, I don't know what you call it, international interventions and stuff like that, in Libya and places like that. I think she's got actual blood on her hands there, and for that reason, slightly more towards Trump, like preferring him slightly more, even though he's a terrible human. I still wouldn't ever support him either, but most of the stuff with Trump is just bad things he said. You know what I mean? He's just said really stupid things. I think most of the stuff is just he's quite insensitive and outspoken and doesn't really think before he says stuff. With Hillary, it's actual action. You know what I mean? It's actual things she's put into action that have caused deaths to people. So I don't know. I think America's fucked, whoever wins, really. I've got a theory that Trump would be slightly less of a problem as well. Like, basically, I think with Trump, a lot of his policies and ideas wouldn't get passed by Congress if he was in power. I think a lot of his more out there ideas, like banning the immigration of all Muslims, I don't think he could really enforce that, really. I think that would be something he says he'd do, but whether Congress could ever make something like that happen, I don't think it's possible. The whole Mexican wall thing, making Mexico pay for it, and it might happen, but it's got to get passed by Congress, hasn't it? And I can just see quite a lot of his more crazy ideas just not getting through. Whereas with Hillary, she kind of is the establishment in a way. Like she's in there and she's like part of it. She's more like, I see Hillary more as like the figurehead of the whole corrupt system, if you know what I mean. She's just there, and whatever America wants as a system, you know, to get money, to get oil, to seize power in whatever Middle Eastern country they want to, and whatever they want to do, she's just going to go ahead with it. Whereas with Trump, I see him more as like a kind of, he's kind of outside that system, and he'll be kind of fighting against it, getting his own stupid ideas, trying to get them passed, and yeah. So I think in that way, it kind of like Trump would be slightly less damaging, but I don't know. That's just my theory. I don't know whether that would actually work out, or, you know. People keep going on about how Trump is like, he uses the word, you know, his way, his demeanour and everything, it's like he's a dictator, and they're afraid that he's going to be, like, his rule is going to be this some dictatorship. But, I mean, America has things in place like Congress and all that. I think it's Congress, isn't it? That's the right word I'm using. The sort of body of people that kind of stop the really crazy ideas getting through, you know. They have a system in place at least to kind of stop stuff like that happening. So I don't know. Oh. A lot of dumb conspiracy theories going around as well. This whole spirit cooking thing, what a fucking load of bollocks. You watch the actual video, it's just it's just someone doing an art exhibition, really, like a performance art. I've seen much worse going on in galleries and things. People think it's like a satanic ritual that Hillary Clinton's involved with, and she eats babies or some bollocks. It's just crazy. The fact that people believe it as well, just insane. Anyway, looks like this video's been going on a while, which means my camera will have automatically split it into 2 files, which means I've got to upload them separately and then stitch them together in YouTube editor, and then have that video process, which means it takes about 3 times longer. So by this time this video actually gets uploaded, America will probably have a new president, and yeah, that's another thing about another thing I wanted to say about the 2 presidents, which makes me slightly, very, very slightly prefer Trump, is that you kind of want a politician that you can sort of lampoon and take the piss out of. And with Hillary, I just don't feel like, I feel like basically people jumping on too much on this like whole fact that she's a woman thing, it kind of, it lifts her above criticism a lot of the time. I see quite a lot in, anytime someone criticises Hillary, it's like, look at this, how people hate women. This is what women in politics have to face. Whereas all you see all day is like Trump cartoons and stupid like pictures, taking the piss out of his hair and his little hands and things like this. You know, you can't. I couldn't imagine spitting image, the old spitting image, existing if they couldn't have taken the piss out of Margaret Thatcher. Can you imagine such a world where they just, anytime they took the piss out of Margaret Thatcher, it was like, look at how they treat women in politics. It was, but I can kind of imagine this being a thing if Hillary gets into power. Like, I think it would be a bad thing having a politician where it's hard to mock them because of their gender, and this whole sort of gender thing being quite a hot topic in politics at the moment, that people are afraid to criticise a woman just because of her gender. I think that'd, I think that'd be a bad thing for politics, because you really do need to hold your politicians up and be able to mock them mercilessly. And Trump, definitely you could do that if he was in power, but Hillary, I'm not sure. Anyway. Oh. So, good luck, America, and the rest of the world. May God have mercy on us all.